I know a lot of you have such good intentions and you're thinking of moving your elderly parent in with you, either to help out with the care or maybe to help save some money. But don't make that important decision without considering these things first. Hi there, I'm Sophia. Welcome to another video. If this is your first time here and you want to be a more satisfied, more successful, and more informed family caregiver, then start now by hitting the subscribe button. Moving your elderly parent into your home in order to help provide the care and supervision that they need may seem like a terrific idea. And you may think it's going to solve a lot of problems. But unfortunately, many well-intentioned family members make this move without really thoroughly thinking it through. And then they find themselves in an even more stressful situation down the road. I'm not going to let that happen to you. In this video, I'm going to discuss the most important things that you must consider before you decide to move your parent into your home. The first thing to consider is whether your parents even want to move in with you. When you bring up the subject, are they open to it or are they resistant, and do they have a lot of excuses why it wouldn't be a good idea? If they aren't open to the idea, what are their reasons? Are their reasons fear-based, like are they afraid of change, or do they worry about the work involved in selling the home and packing it up and moving to another location? If that's what they're worried about, well, those are really legitimate concerns that you can help them with by empathizing with them and reassuring them that you're going to help them through this process. However, on the other hand, if they're voicing reluctancy to move because a move would take them away from their social network of friends and activities and community supports, well, then you can't disregard how important these things really are to them, and the fact that having these things in place actually will help them live longer and happier. And isn't that what the goal is? And know that unless your parents have been deemed mentally incompetent to make their own decisions, then ultimately it really is their decision whether or not they want to move in with you, and you can't really force the issue, even if it means they're going to stay in an unsafe situation. The second thing to consider is the space in your home. Not only the space needed for now, but the space also needed for the future. It is almost inevitable that your parents' needs are not going to change through time. So make sure that your home will be practical if they should in the future need a walker or a wheelchair, or if their own needs change. Is the room that you're thinking for them to stay in, is it upstairs? Are your doors wide enough for a wheelchair? Is there room to put in ramps inside the house or outside the house if that's ever needed? Is the bathroom able to accommodate a walker or a wheelchair? And does it have a walk-in shower or a roll-in shower? And if these things aren't needed now and you don't have them, are you willing and able to spend the money for home modifications or remodeling at some point in the future? And even if so, where would your parents go while you're doing that? And talking about space, are you willing to share it? Share your dining room table, your couch, your TV remote, and are the other family members in your house also willing to share their space? The third thing that you have to consider are the other family members that are in the home who are already there. Your spouse and your children and other family members. How well are they going to mesh with the situation of your parents being there all the time? Do you have teenagers who have their friends over all the time and like to play loud music or video games all day? Or do you have small children who run around the house laughing and screaming all day? Will your parent be upset with the normal noise level in your home? How is it going to affect your kids? Also, does your parent have some behaviors that your kids might be embarrassed about in front of their friends? Or do you now regularly take your kids out for activities and sports events and school outings? Is it okay for your parent to come along? Or are they going to be all right to stay home alone while you continue to do these things with your family? You have to think about this ahead of time so that you have a contingency plan. It's really important to think of these things ahead of time so that you can decide how much you and your other family members are willing to give up in order for your parents to move in with you. And what about your spouse? How do they get along with your parent? Has there been a history of a little tension in between them? It's not going to get any better with your parent in the home 24/7. Do you and your spouse have regular date nights or outings together, or vacations? Will your parents be safe to be alone during those times? Or what about in the future when your parents' needs are greater and you're not able to leave them alone? What is going to be the plan then? And what might you be sacrificing in your marriage or other relationships? And can those relationships handle it? And what about intimacy and private time with your spouse? Is this going to be at risk? And what can you do to ensure that your marriage or other important relationships continue to get the time and nurturing that they need and deserve? And since I'm talking about important loved ones in your home, let's talk about your pets. Do you have dogs that run around the house and jump and bark all the time? Could it put your parent at risk for falling if there are animals around their feet in the home? And if this does occur, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to get rid of your pets or make them stay outside all the time? Some of us are so close to our pets and we forget to think, how is moving a parent in to the home going to affect them? The fourth thing that you need to think about is your work. If you're currently working, are you going to continue to work? How flexible is your employer if you need to take time off to take care of your parents or take them to the doctor? If you can no longer work because of the amount of care and time that your parent needs from you, are you going to be able to financially handle that? Think ahead. Are you going to resent it if you have to leave a job that you absolutely love because you need to stay home and take care of your parents? Or is there some kind of employment that you can do from home while you're providing care to your parent? If you continue to choose to work out of the home and you come home to support your parents, which can be a second job all in itself, are you going to be able to handle the stress? The fifth thing that you have to consider before moving in is the financial situation. If your parents move in, are they going to pay rent? Or are they going to be contributing financially to the household in exchange for your care? And I know it sounds a little strange, but whatever arrangement you make, you should be putting it in writing and sticking to it. This is going to be helpful if other family members ever have a concern about how the finances are handled. And it's best to keep their money in a separate account from yours. If you need to hire caregivers in the future or other services at some point, is that going to be paid with your parents' money or your money? And what if the money runs out? The sixth really important thing that you have to consider before moving your parents in is how your relationship was with them before in the past. Now it's really important that you really be honest with yourself here. Do you honestly get along with your parent? Do you truly like being around them all the time? Or has there been some stress between you and your relationship or some pressure? Honestly, you have to ask yourself, what are the things about my parent that I don't like? And could you continue to live with that 24 hours a day? How has your parent treated you your whole life? It's pretty much going to be a good indicator of how they're going to continue to treat you. Have they been mean to you or condescending? Do they put you down? This is not likely going to change, and in fact, it might just get a lot worse. I recommend that you watch this video on emotional strength training for caregivers to help you deal with whatever emotions your parents might throw at you. And if you are one of the many adult children who were emotionally, physically, or sexually abused when you were younger, then please do not decide to move your parents in with you before watching this important video about caring for abusive parents. I'm going to put the links to both these very important videos in the description. The seventh thing that you have to think about ahead of time is, do you have a backup plan? What if you get sick and you're hospitalized? Who's going to care for your parent? And what is going to be the plan? You have to think about this ahead of time. Even if you just want to take a vacation, then what? Are there other family members who can pitch in and help out and take over for a while? Would that care be in your home or in their home? Or would your parent need to go into a nursing home for a while until the situation resolves itself? And if so, how is that going to be paid for? You have to think of all of these things ahead of time. The 8th thing to consider is if your parent comes with habits that you don't welcome in your home, such as smoking or drinking, or even do they come with their own pets? How are you going to handle this? What are going to be the rules and the boundaries? How does your parent respond when you bring this topic up to them? These are important that need to be considered ahead of time, because lack of clarity in your expectations, or in everyone's expectations, is just going to cause a lot of unhappiness down the road. Another thing that you have to consider is whether or not your parent requires a special diet, like low sodium or low fat. Are you going to cook a second meal for them every mealtime, or are you going to change your own way of eating for the whole family? Or is that just too much work? How are you going to ensure that your parent gets their nutrition and dietary needs met without going crazy? And what if your family eats dinner at 7 o'clock, but your parent insists on eating at 4:30? How are you going to handle that? Are you always going to be cooking, or do you need to order home delivered meals? The 10th thing to consider are the changes through time. If your parent is currently pretty independent and they can take care of themselves, they may not be this way forever. And they likely won't stay this way forever. Are you going to be prepared at some point in the future to take on the normal day-to-day tasks of providing care for a parent? This will include things like changing diapers and cutting their toenails and trimming their nose hairs. Can your own physical body handle the needs that your parent might have in the future, like lifting them and turning them in the bed? And will you be ready to take on the mental tasks of caring for a parent who may have dementia or Alzheimer's, and it's likely going to worsen? Dealing with the repeated questions, maybe verbal abuse, stubbornness, wandering, resistance to care, paranoia. These are really realistic scenarios that many families don't think of ahead of time, and they think that caregiving is going to be easy, and it's not. You need to know what you're getting yourself into and think about it ahead of time so that you can deal with it. It's not easy, but it's not impossible, and it will require a lot of patience and flexibility. Consider watching these videos here on caring for a paranoid delusional parent and parents who repeat the same questions over and over to see if you have what it takes. A lot of people just assume that moving their parents in with them is going to be the quick answer, the easy response, that it's going to be a piece of cake, and that is just wrong. It's far from it. As you can see, there are so many things you have to think about ahead of time. Discuss these 10 really important issues with your family member and your parents before you make a decision about whether you should move them in with you, because moving them in might not be the best decision for everyone. And really, it's really okay if you decide after going through this list not to move your parents in with you. It's so much better to have thought about it ahead of time and come to the conclusion that this is not going to work, instead of not thinking about it, moving them in, and finding out when it's too late. Leave me a comment and let me know if you've decided to move your parent in with you, or if not, let me know what was the deciding factor. If you did decide against moving your parent in with you, but you're still worried that they need care, then I recommend you watch these videos here about talking to your parent about assisted living and how to pay for it. If you found today's information helpful, then please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you don't want to miss any new videos on everything senior, then please go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I release new videos every Tuesday and you're not going to want to miss out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.